This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by the good folks over at Dipstick Vapes, makers of the innovative Dipper Vaporizer, which you can use as a traditional pack-and-go vape pen, or with a quick swap out of their vapor tip atomizer, use it to vaporize concentrates directly like it was some kind of magic vape straw. If you're ready to buy your own Dipper Vaporizer, use the discount code MJ today over at dipstickvapes.com to save 15% off the cost and to generate a donation in that same amount by Dipstick to our friends over at Students for Sensible Drug Policy. And if you have a dispensary or store that could benefit from the sales generated by the Dipper, swing over to dipstickvapes.com as well to learn about starting a wholesaler relationship. I know my friend Mark Passerini over at the Ohm of Medicine Medical Marijuana Dispensary just started carrying the Dipper and says that sales have been super healthy. Put the power of the Dipper to work for your bottom line today by opening up dipstickvapes.com. And don't forget, use the discount code MJ today to save 15% off the cost of the Dipper and to get SSDP some more money to keep fighting the good fight. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, June 26th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 276 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day brings us down to the Sunshine State, where late last week, Florida Governor Rick Scott signed into law a medical marijuana bill that expands that state's program as mandated by voters in the fall. Regular listeners know that the path to Governor Scott signing Senate Bill 8A has not been a smooth one, with more bumps on the road ahead to come as activists turn their sights to the fact that the new law does not allow for medical marijuana to be smoked, only vaporized, eaten, or taken transdermally. The bill expands the maximum number of licensed medical marijuana providers from the current count of 7 up to 17, while giving those licensed operators a total of 425 dispensary licenses to split up statewide. The Denver Post has a good story up about an anti-drug war statement made over the weekend by Mark Holden, one of the top people running the Koch brothers' political influence machine. During a retreat held in Colorado over the weekend, Mr. Holden told reporters, quote, "You're never going to win the war on drugs. Drugs won," unquote. Mr. Holden, who works as general counsel for Koch Industries, went on to further say that medical marijuana should, quote, "be off limits," unquote, to federal prosecution. This is important because there aren't a lot of people able to influence the Donald Trump administration. I'd argue that if there's anyone on the conservative side of the spectrum that can do such a thing, it's going to be the Koch brothers. Let's hope their arguments trickle their way into the president's brain space, as narrow as it may be. Our final top story of the day has us wrap up in Pennsylvania, where Governor Tom Wolf is defending the fairness of the selection process his state went through to choose the first 12 medical marijuana cultivation and process license winners, even as one of those companies has ties to his administration. Franklin Labs LLC, one of the 12 winners recently announced, is connected to John Hanger, former policy chief for Governor Wolf, who serves as chairman of the board. When asked about the situation, Governor Wolf said, quote, "All I know is that the process was fair and honest. I had no connection with it. I don't even know who made the decision," unquote. Pennsylvania is keeping the identities of the judges who ranked the applicants a secret, though they've released publicly the scoring rubric used in the process. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Dipstick Vapes, makers of the Dipper Vaporizer, which you can use as a traditional pack-and-go vape pen, or with a quick swap out of their vapor tip atomizer, use like a magic vape straw to vaporize concentrates directly. And when you add in their Dip Whip accessory, you can attach the Dipper to any dab rig and use it in lieu of butane and blowtorches. Class up your legal cannabis consumption game today by opening up dipstickvapes.com and using the discount code MJ today to save 15% off the cost of the already affordable Dipper and to generate a donation in that same amount by Dipsticks to our friends over at Students for Sensible Drug Policy. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, if you have a dispensary or store that could use a hot new product to sell to your customers, open up dipstickvapes.com to learn more about becoming a distributor. All right, time for the blitz. The Alaska Marijuana Control Board will take up the issue of allowing for limited public social use during its next meeting in July. The board will consider 3 options for allowing businesses to offer space where customers can consume marijuana. One where they could try cannabis on site just before leaving the premises. No hanging out on your laptop or playing games, just puff and go. The other option would let customers eat only edibles on site, which is about as exciting as it sounds, with the third option being a full-blown smoke marijuana scenario, complete with mandated air ventilation systems for any business that wants to partake. This issue has been kicking around Alaska for the last year or so now, so it'll be interesting to see how the story advances at their next meeting. We'll be following along. Keeping our gaze up north for a headline, we have the city of Anchorage, Alaska, collecting around $70,000 in marijuana sales tax revenue during the month of April. That tax revenue is generated by the city's 9 dispensaries, who charge a special 5% city-only sales tax that was passed by voters last year. That monthly total is up from March's haul of $57,000 and represents the highest monthly take to date. The Associated Press is reporting that the New York Department of Health is now allowing all authorized recommending agents of medical marijuana, that's doctors, nurse practitioners, and physician assistants, to register and certify medical marijuana patients online in the same day. The Department of Health has taken a number of steps over the last year or so to boost their anemic medical marijuana program, most recently by adding chronic pain as a qualifying condition, something that helped boost the number of registered patients in the program from around 15,000 to more than 22,000 in just the last few months. Ricardo Baca, founding editor of The Cannabis and now freelance media guy and entrepreneur, has a good article up over at the Daily Beast about the formation of the National Association of Cannabis Businesses, a so-called self-regulated organization that is working to write a set of guidelines by which the legal cannabis industry can follow. Those guidelines will lay out how a responsible marijuana company operates in terms of consumer safety, child-proof packaging, and labeling, but also more operational things like how they keep their books and run things as a transparent company. This is a good story to click over and read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. New Hampshire Public Radio is a good interview up with Matt Simon, New England political director for the Marijuana Policy Project and one of the major players in the push for state-level marijuana policy reform up here in the upper right-hand corner of the country. With Maine and Massachusetts now having passed legal adult use marijuana by ballot initiative and Vermont getting this close to doing the same legislatively, there's a lot of momentum building in the Northeast to make marijuana more legal. This is another good one to click over for the read or the listen. Alan Brockstein over New Cannabis Ventures published a great article looking at the new way that Tilray, one of Canada's largest licensed medical marijuana providers, is now labeling their marijuana. Instead of labeling their flower primarily based on names like Sour Diesel and Trainwreck, Tilray is now emphasizing the performance capabilities of each strain, lumping each into a broad potency level followed up by detailed stats for THC and CBD content. This is one best clicked over to see how they pulled it off. And also, pay attention to this one. And finally for today, the city of Philadelphia might just be a bit too late in completely restricting the locations of where medical marijuana dispensaries can be located once the state's medical marijuana system rolls out next year. Last week, the city council approved a measure that places additional restrictions on where dispensaries can be located, but the city agency responsible for issuing licenses said that the existing license winners that would be pushed out by the new restrictions will be allowed to stay as grandfathered in. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Dipstick Vapes, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.